On this week's episode, we're kicking off a new series with comedy timelines. That's right, and I figured we'd start the series off with a movie that you've all been requesting quite a bit, which is The Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. It may come as a big surprise to you guys to find out that this is a franchise with quite a history, and also you're going to be surprised to see a very familiar face. The Tomatoes struck in 1978 with the original Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, which claims that it's set in present day, so we'll say 1978 for now, and tomato attacks start right away. We get the awesome theme song, which I'm a huge fan of, and I can prove it. See? There's an impressive helicopter crash, which, fun fact, was an actual accident caught on film and worked in. No one was hurt, thankfully, because John Landis wasn't on set that day. We meet anti-tomato agent Mason Dixon and his team, which includes Sam Smith, Master of Disguise, Greta, a swimming expert, and Greg, underwater expert, which is apparently vastly different from a swimming expert. Then someone says this.
We'll never have another president as bad as this one.
Oh, just you wait, 70s woman. Just you wait. There's a Jaws parody, and the task force is joined by parachute-slinging Wilbur Finletter, and there's a random musical number.
Coupon on the side! Hard seller salt!
Poor Greta gets pasted while Sam goes undercover as a tomato, and it turns into a full-blown war. Dixon discovers the president's press secretary, Jim Richardson, is in control of the tomatoes, but he's stabbed by Finletter. A final showdown with the tomatoes shows Dixon using his secret weapon, a song called Puberty Love, which weakens the tomatoes, and they're all destroyed. Except this one, wearing headphones. But apparently showing the sheet music for the song works too, and it all wraps up with the carrots ready to be next. 10 years later, John DeBello brought his series back with 1988's Return of the Killer Tomatoes, which starts off by introducing us to Professor Gangrene, who can turn tomatoes into humans with music. Finletter returns, and this newspaper confirms the events of the first films occurred in February of 1978. We see that tomatoes are now outlawed, and pizza looks kinda gross, and Finletter's son is here. This reporter says the tomato war was 10 years ago, and wow. That's one hell of a handsome pizza guy. Too bad he never did anything after this movie. Recaps kind of ignore Mason Dixon, and we see Richardson, who is alive somehow, and now played by a different actor, and one who is clearly not a multimillionaire that someone would have to marry anyway. Gangrene's got a hot tomato girlfriend and sidekick Igor, but Tara defects to save a mutant fuzzy tomato named FT. A joke about product placement gives our film a date with July of 1987, although they're breaking the fourth wall, so I guess it's a little debatable, but we're going to go with it anyway. Sam Smith, Master of Disguise, shows back up, and so does Greg, and Wilbur brings back his parachute. It leads to the final showdown with Gangrene, in which he gets captured, and Tara becomes human permanently, and FT becomes famous. And Clooney stays Clooney, so he wins. Then the post-credit scene promises carrots again, and Gangrene says, "See you in France." Well, France would have to wait, because 3 years later we get 1991's The Killer Tomatoes Strike Back, which reintroduces us to Rick Rockwell as Richardson. Or, wait. New character Lance Boyle. Tomatoes with faces start attacking, and Gangrene and Igor are in disguise as a talk show host. Finletter is back, and he says he's been fighting tomatoes for 13 years, which would place this one in 1991. FT is back, and there's a Psycho parody, and Finletter is the police captain now, which is a pretty big shift from restaurant owner 3 years ago, and there's no mention of Tara or Chad. Sam Smith shows back up, now running a bar, and then there's Ninja Tomatoes, and Finletter dons the parachute once again, and there's a final attempt to create a giant bacon, lettuce, and human sandwich. The heroes win out, and Gangrene falls victim to his own tomatoes, and we're out. One mere year later, in 1992, we see the self-proclaimed Part 4 of the trilogy, Killer Tomatoes Eat France, which was actually originally intended to be Part 3 and then shifted into the series. We start with Gangrene in jail in France, so he survived the ending of the last film. He's set free by more elaborate-looking tomatoes, and these ones can talk. even though all the previous tomatoes spoke their own language. Igor's back and Skippy's here, minus Sammy Kerr. FT shows up as a rock star now and apparently went to college with Skippy, which, yeah, that makes just a lot of sense. He gets kidnapped and replaced with killer tomatoes, and a series of shenanigans kick off, and this newspaper shows a date of 1991, and Rick Rockwell makes a quick cameo. Gangrene creates a 50 megaton tomato monster that can breathe fire, but it gets chopped up, and FT saves the day, Skippy gets the girl, and Gangrene gets away, threatening to be back. Unfortunately, he never was, as the Tomato series ended there, but there was also a cartoon series that ran between Return of the Killer Tomatoes and Killer Tomatoes Strike Back for 2 seasons in 1990 to 91, featuring all of the characters minus Clooney. Killer Tomatoes Eat France was the most influenced by the cartoons, even featuring the tomato named Zoltan. So there you have it, 4 movies and a cartoon series that actually have a fairly strong continuity for a comedy series that isn't meant to really tie together and make sense. But it does anyhow. There was also a video game, comic books, toys, action figures, all based upon this series that a lot of people may not be aware of that are out there, but they are there, and it's one hell of a fun series. All of the movies are really enjoyable and a good time to watch, so I recommend all of them. You'll like them. And if you liked this video, please let me know by clicking that little like button down below. And then also hit that subscribe button, and then also share it and put it on the social media things and all that good stuff, and let the world know that the Comedy Timelines are here. Also, check out the Patreon page. You know what to do by now. Also, these guys over here are the patrons who are supporting me, so I always want to thank these guys. And I will thank you for watching this video, and we'll see you again in a couple of weeks for another great video. Thanks, guys.